Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I have another watercolor set to review. Actually, I'm trying to think how I've posted things out on my channel, if I've recorded or if I've posted any reviews lately for watercolor. But anyway, these are a brand new set from Paul Rubens. I really like the Paul Rubens watercolors. I feel like they produce a lot of art supplies that are professional quality but at a lower price, and I think that's because they originally came out to deliver high quality art supplies to this is a Chinese company. They came out to deliver high quality art supplies to their Chinese citizens because a lot of the stuff that was sold there was just really low quality, and they managed a way to make a good quality product for a low cost. So this set here, I'm not exactly sure what it's selling for on Amazon, but they sent me this to review and they said they will offer some coupon codes for my audience. So I'll have all the information in the video description. I can't tell you how much it costs though, because Amazon scolds me every time I do that. So ballpark, I'm guessing it's around 50, but don't hold me to it. I think it's in that ballpark though. So it comes in this kind of beautiful gift box, as all the Paul Rubens things do. It almost feels like it's got a rubberized coating to it, kind of like those rubberized beads. If you've ever had those beads have that kind of rubbery feel to it. And it's got a almost like a letterpress depressed foil gold design. Now I think they've been rebranding and kind of going more for this like eye design, eye logo for their products, as opposed to the picture of Paul Rubens with the beret that used to be. I was just looking around to see if I had another tin handy. What they were using on their products. So they've been kind of rebranding or just kind of freshening up their branding lately, I've noticed, over the last year or so. So you take this off, and I highly recommend, even if you don't keep your palettes in these boxes, I actually do because they stack better on my shelf, but if you don't, keep the boxes for other storage because they make the best little like drawer dividers. Well, let's see what we've got in the box. See how that's great? You put that in a drawer, then you can put your pens or whatever in there. They're just really high quality, nice thick covered chipboard, just gorgeous. They really spare no expense. Now I'm not really sure what the deal with this organza bag is. It's kind of strange. It's not like, you know, if you've ever used organza material, it's very prone to snagging and rather thin. I mean, it's pretty for packaging, I suppose, but it's also too big for it. I think they could just leave the bag out. I think that would be like probably 25 cents they could save on the price. They used to come with a polishing cloth, like a microfiber cloth, which I'm not really sure why they came with that either. I have used it as a brush blotter before, but I mean, it's okay. But again, it's just kind of like a packaging thing, I think. You've got a thumb hole in the bottom, or a ring hole, whatever you want to, however you like to. Yeah, I always use usually my middle finger like that if I am going to hold it, which I usually don't. I usually don't travel with a palette this large, but I would set it on my table, at my coffee table out on the deck, and I would sit there and have that out, and I would paint from that. We have some new brochures. These aren't the same brochures that were in the other Paul Rubens sets. They are. They just kind of advertise the other colors. So this set's available in pink, white, black, or this emerald green color that I have here. And there's a bunch of stuff in Chinese. On the other side, there is information about the brand in English and Chinese. However, you will need a magnifier if you're anything like me. The printing is really small. So especially the English printing, like the French printing is a little bit bigger. The French printing is actually easier to read. That's all right, I guess. But it's calling it the 4th Paul Rubens Generation Solid Watercolor Gem Series. The essence of the first 3 generations of solid watercolor create the 4th generation of solid watercolor. Gemstone Series Solid Watercolor, based on the first 3 generations of product, has carried the detail, optimization, and color in all selects. The pure color powder, the light resistance is good, high saturation, excellent transparency and diffusion effect. This color mixing is natural with an attractive packaging design. Paul Rubens Gemstone Watercolor, a series blessing your everlasting beauty. Well, we buy this and you'll have everlasting beauty. I don't know. I think it's probably just a translation. It sounds funny because it's translated. And then we have a swatch card, which we could fill that right out on camera. And the colors we have are opaque white, light yellow lemon, cadmium yellow hue, Indian yellow, Naples yellow, orange, cadmium red hue, carmine, magenta, violet, indigo, ultramarine, Prussian blue, cyan, brilliant green, May green, permanent green, olive green, yellowish, yellow ochre, burnt umber, sepia, English red, Payne's gray, and black. So it's pretty good overall balanced palette, it seems. We've got a nice magenta. Yeah, we seem to have the split primaries there because we've got an ultramarine and a Prussian blue and a cyan. I've noticed that they are doing hues rather than cadmiums, and I don't see any cobalts in here. So this could be in response to maybe wanting to branch out and sell in the European market, where they're a little bit more of sticklers when it comes to cadmium in paint, and like cadmium free is all the rage. Like with Winsor & Newton and stuff, I think that's kind of an advertising gimmick. I like cadmium paints personally, but the nice thing, like one thing I don't like about cadmium paints, I don't recommend them for beginners because you can't spray apply them. If you are, you might not even think twice about, putting a little watercolor and water in a little spray bottle and spritzing a background. But, if you're not thinking twice about that and you've got cadmium colors in your palette, you may not be aware what's a cadmium color and what's not if you're a beginner. So I don't recommend those for beginners. Also, if you don't practice good studio habits, like if you drink or smoke in your studio and you are, you could rinse your paintbrush in your cup and not realize it, or touch your, like if you're a smoker, touch your cigarette and then like breathe in the cadmium. I don't know, but you don't want to eat around it. And I mean, I know that the risk is very minimal, but I just think it's good to point out because, and I think that's why a lot of these companies are going away from cadmium. Maybe, and it's probably more expensive. I know cadmium paints are more expensive. Let's take a look at these bad boys. So this palette is similar to the foam style palettes, F-O-M-E, that are kind of pricey because they're heavier weight. This does feel a little heavier weight than the old pink tin. It doesn't latch very securely though. I'm wondering if I can maybe push the top in a little bit. Now see, I got the Owen palette, which is also made by the same company that makes Paul Rubens, and I had an issue with the tin latching. Okay, I don't think that's gonna latch. So that's kind of a bummer. Maybe I can push out the side here and get it to latch. Oh, what have I done? Well, nope. Well, a little bit. It's latching a little bit more, but I've lost the... This won't happen though, I guess, if the paints are in there. Oh my, this is why I don't unbox things typically. All right, well, let's put this back in for a second and let's see. Is it gonna latch? Can I pick it up by the lid? No. Okay, so it's not really gonna latch that well, but I think with a palette like this, you probably, yeah, you can, if you hold it upside down, it'll open up. But with a palette like this, you're probably not traveling with it. It's kind of heavy and large for that, but, so there we go. That's a little bit of a downside. I like the palette overall. I'm going to use it, at home, so it's not a big deal for me, but something to think about if you're considering traveling with this. It's, going to pop open in your bag. Your pans are held in one of your standard little palette trays, and let's see if we have any pigment information on these pans. And if we do, let's see if I can read them, shall we? Oh, yes we do. PW6. Excellent. We have pigment info. That is a good thing. PY3. That is what I would expect for lemon yellow these days. PY 150, 151. I'm going to have to bring over my magnifier. So what I'm going to do here, we can unwrap, let's unwrap this one together. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of watercolor paper. I'm actually going to try this one because I just got this block in. It's 100% cotton, 32 sheets, Amazon find. And I'm going to see if that's any good. I'm going to stick these wrappers down on that paper and do swatches there. I'm also going to swatch in here. I'm going to write the pigment numbers on the swatch here so that we can talk about them when we come back. And yeah, when we come back and we can swatch together. We haven't done that in a while. That'll be fun. See you in a few. Did I just tell you we were going to open one of these pans and I never even opened it? Oh my word. I don't know what. So there we go. Opening one. Did we open it? What is life? I don't even remember. Guys, it's not boding well for this video already. All right, I'm going to prep my little sheets and I'll see you back here in a minute. Goodness. Okay, I'm back. I've unwrapped all of these. I just want to show you what I've done here. This was a tip from a viewer, Afke Voltnik, and she said she saved her half pan wrappers and she would stick them down on a piece of paper to do her swatches with it. I thought that was brilliant, so I've been doing that ever since. It's been a couple of years, but I haven't mentioned the source of that for a long time, so thank you so much, Afke. Or Eve, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. But yeah, that's where I got that tip. So this is all the waste I have, which I think is pretty amazing because oftentimes these half pans from different companies have plastic wrapping it or wax paper or foil, and then they've got the paper wrapping. This is just a sticker. I did put a little bit of double-sided tape, just a strip of it underneath the stickers because sometimes they pop off. I've had that happen before with the Paul Rubens pans. But something else you can do if you don't want to do a swatch like this, I mean, since you're already going to be doing a swatch on the swatch card, is you can actually stick these to the pan. You could stick the wrappers right to the bottom of the pan. Of course, I think they'd also get pretty grimed up, though. I don't know if you'd be able to read that information afterwards. And because the printing is small on the pans, I decided to just write down the pigment information on the swatches I'm going to keep in the tin. No point to make another swatch card since I got this. This works fine. Also on the pan wrappers, you will find either an empty box, which would signify that it's, well actually, see that's white, that should be opaque, but there's opacity. There's like a box, it's either filled in if it's opaque or empty if it is transparent, or half filled in if it's semi-transparent. But you'll need your magnifiers if you're anything like me. All right, we're gonna start. I'm not pre-wetting any of these because I'm just gonna give them a fair shot. So we've got the opaque white. So that's opaque white. That I would think that would have like a filled in box, but maybe because maybe because the wrapper is black. Now, one thing that's kind of a little disconcerting, for whatever reason, I keep feeling like it should be like this. Like I feel like the words should be on the opposite side, but that's probably a Western thing. I'm just gonna paint over that stripe there. I did a stripe and marker just to be able to show opacity. Now we're gonna go to, and that's PW6, pretty standard titanium white. Now we're gonna go to the next one, which is light yellow lemon. That's pretty transparent. Oh, why'd I wash it? I don't need to wash it. I'm doing it right here too. I could fade it out. Rag handy so I can blot. Fade it out there on the bottom. What I could do is actually start off by putting a little bit of water down for a swatch. I like to have nice big swatches, and this will go in my swatch binder, which I've showed before in different videos. You can see how the dispersion is. Then again, I've never used this paper before, so I wouldn't feel confident judging. So the light yellow lemon was PY3. That's a Hansa Yellow Light. The cadmium yellow hue is PY151. This is much more transparent than a traditional cadmium yellow. And fade it out. Oh, there's some pretty decent dispersion there. The more transparent your colors are, the less muddy they'll be. These seem to be nice and bright. Like I said, I didn't pre-wet anything. Next we have Indian yellow. It's nice and bright. Let me just grab a little bit of water and fade it down. Trying to see if these remind me of the other Paul Rubens. You can actually bring the color right over the words too if you want to test the opacity. The next color we have is Naples Yellow, which is very peachy. It's oh, and the Indian Yellow is PY110 plus PY154. Naples Yellow is a mixture of PW6, which is our titanium white, PR242 and PY42. So it's got some yellow ochre, some some titanium white and PR242. I'm not sure about that one. That might be one of the more earthier reds. That's kind of a pretty color. It's definitely more peachy than, it's almost like a Naples yellow reddish. I don't know if I'd use that one too much. It might be nice like as a, I don't know, I like to mix my skin tones. I was thinking it might be nice as a base for like Caucasian skin or a highlight on darker skin, which it might work pretty well for that because it's very opaque. I find having some opaque colors when I'm doing figures makes it just harder to blend because of all the white that's in there. Alright, orange is PO71. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that's nice and bright. Very red leaning. Why'd I wash my brush? Kind of like a rusty color, like a bright rust. Next color is cadmium red hue. And that is PR255, like a pyrrole scarlet. That's a lovely color. That also kind of reminds me of a Naples yellow, but that pigment should be a little bit more light fast than Naples yellow. I mean, gosh, Naphthol crimson is what I'm thinking of. My words, my brain is fried. I spent the day yesterday helping my daughter recover from her wisdom teeth. She had them out in the morning, so I took her for that. And then when I brought her home, you know, there's like, you have to change the gauze every 20 to 30 minutes, and ice on half an hour and off half an hour, and then medication every 3 hours. It's and I didn't want to leave her alone, so I was kind of just hanging out upstairs with her while she watched Survivor, which I think I lost a few brain points, a few brain cells or IQ points watching that show. Oh man, I'm not a fan. People can be awful. I just see like, oh, those people are just terrible. They're so conniving. I would last, like, I'd be the first one voted off. I can tell you that right now. PV19, Carmine. This is actually kind of what I would think of more of a magenta, but because it's highly transparent, bright color. Not what I think of when I think of Carmine though. It's definitely, it seems a little more magenta-y to me than Carmine, but now magenta, this is interesting. They're saying it is PV42. I've never heard of PV42. I probably should have looked it up before I came back on camera, but let's, whoops, no, that's the wrong color. Hold on. Right here, PV42. Have you ever heard of PV42? I was thinking that looked like a PV19 as well. It's very bold, very bright. I'm gonna have to look on that one and see what the light fastness is. Let me see if it says, oh, good grief. It says it's a 3. Well, let me see something that I know is very light fast. Okay, so like Burnt Umber, they have is like a 4 or 5. I'm looking for something that would be really dodgy. They all seem to have 3s, 4s, and 5s. I'm gonna have to look up their rating system again. But PV42, I've never heard of that. I think it may be a misprint. I think it may be also PV19. I don't know. I don't know everything. Comes as a surprise to no one. Now this one here, it says it's PV16, which would be either like a manganese or ultramarine violet, I think. One or the other, I can't remember. One's PV15, one's PV16. So this might have some nice granulation to it. I'm just going to stir in a little more water and see, and we'll see what happens. A little bit more minerally. It's got that little bit of a gumminess to it. Not bad, but like more mineral-based colors have that granulate. They seem to need more binder, so they have that kind of slimy, pardon me, gumminess to it. I'm just going to pause the video. I've got a cough. All right, friends. I had a drink of tea, and I coughed and blew my nose, and more information than you need. So PV16 is Manganese Violet. I knew it was one of those. And PV42 is a thing. It is quinacridone pink. So my apologies, Paul Rubens, for insinuating that you may not be printing your labels correctly. Oh man, sorry about that, guys. Okay, but you know, okay, teachable moment, right? Give me a chance to check things out. Make sure these folks are on the up and up. Pull fast one on me, Paul Rubens. Got to get up pretty early in the morning to pull a fast. No, you don't. You got to get up about 11. That's about it. Oh, our next color is indigo. And that, my friends, is a mix of PB15 and no, good grief. I think that's a B. I wrote it with horrible penmanship. I think it's PB66. I'm sorry, I gotta take this over my magnifier. PB66. PB15 and PB66. I do not know. Oh, that's gorgeous. Boy, okay, that's the most exciting color that I've swatched out yet. Look at that. That's interesting. So PB60 is in the Thome Blue, but I've got my handprint open right now, so I'm going to look. What the heck is PB66? Where are you? I don't see it. I see PB60 is Indothrone Blue. Maybe it's a typo. The thing that I have a tube of Indothrone Blue, but it's the Blick's own line, and I also have a pan of Indothrone Blue from Lucas. It seems the Indothrone Blue PB60 in the iterations I've used, it seems to really get dull when it dries. So, but it is kind of a nice indigo, and generally you can use it on its own. But this might stay brighter because it's got PB15 in it as well. All right, Ultramarine, the time-honored classic PB29. Oh, just in the pan. That looks gorgeous and bright. Just, Oh, that's pretty. Looks like it. Oh, nice, fresh, bright Ultramarine. I was going to say Ultramarine Deep, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just comparing it to that. Gorgeous red-leaning primary blue if you do a split primary palette. Giving up on fading these out. I'm just swatching. I'm not sure about this paper. I've got to say this is something I got into review. It does not feel like 100% cotton. I think I don't know. I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything now because I'm going to have egg in my face, but let's see. This one's Prussian Blue, PB27. That's a classic. Oh, that's gorgeous too. They're blues, man. They know how to do a blue. All right. The blues have been the most exciting thing so far, I've got to say. The other colors, I haven't been too excited. Actually, that looks more like a carmine now that it's dry. I was thinking it didn't look much like a carmine wet, but it looks more like a carmine now that it's dry. This next color is Cyan, PB15-3. Also, often this color is called turquoise. Or sometimes even phthalo blue. So your primary, that would be a cool primary, that would be your warm primary. Or if you're down for a more traditional palette, you can go with Prussian Blue. That looks honestly brighter than what I expect for a Prussian Blue, PB27, so I don't know. Kimberly Crick did, I wonder if she's going to review these. I hope she does, because she has a black light that she shines on them, and then you can see if there's any fluorescent dyes added to the colors. Not that I'm saying that's what happened. This one, next one, PG7. Which would be a phthalo green blue shade. They're calling it brilliant green. That's why it's kind of nice to know your pigment numbers. So, like, if you can look and see what is in a tube. If something's called bamboo green or brilliant green or emerald green or whatever, you can see what the number is and know what to expect. Now, this is something wrong with this this next pigment notation. This is May green and it just says PG7. It's got to have a yellow in it too for it to be this bright, and it's probably PY 110 would be my guess, because those two are not the same pigments. They're not the same color. This has a yellow added, and typically May green is. I think they probably just left it off the wrapper. Although I'll double check. No, they just a PG7 there. Goodness gracious. It's a really, really thin, a really, really small, thin white font on a black wrapper. It's tricky. Now this next one, Permanent Green. That's a mixture of Pigment Orange 62 and PG7. It's kind of got earthy. It's like an earthy hooker's green kind of. Which, whoops, I just dipped into the wrong one. Now, if you wanted more vibrant color, you could pre-spray your pans, but I don't find that Paul Rubens needs a pre-spray. This next color is olive green yellowish, which is also a mixture of Pigment Orange 62 and Pigment Green 36, which is Pigment Green 36 is phthalo green yellow shade. Ooh, that's a pretty color. It's kind of like a brighter or more saturated chrome oxide green. I don't like chrome oxide green in general, but I do like olive green and sap green. And different companies make theirs differently, so you may love a sap green in one company and not like it in another company. Like I really like Sinelli's olive green. It reminds me of M. Graham sap green a little bit more. This is a little desaturated because of the orange. Now, there must be a lot more orange in this one than in that one to make it a lot more earthier color. It looks like it almost would have some yellow in there too. But you can say. The next one is our tried and true yellow ochre, which is PY42. This is a synthetic yellow ochre, I believe. I think PY43 is a natural. And honestly, doesn't matter a lick to me. I like them both. And I use a lot of yellow ochre, so I like to have a nice yellow ochre. That's really pretty. Our next color is Burnt Umber, and it says PY42 as well. So let's see what this swatches out like, because I have a feeling that's a typo. Yeah, that I think. And you know what? This also doesn't look like a PBR7. This almost looks like a PBR25 brown. It's really rich and transparent. So, I don't know. I think that's a typo. I could be wrong though. I'm not a chemist. I'm not crazy about the paper on that swatch card either. I'm really going to have to use these on a paper that I'm familiar with, because I wouldn't trust my opinion of these paints right now just swatching them on this paper, because this paper here reminds me of that 25% cotton Fabriano Studio, which isn't a bad thing, but this says it's 100% cotton. Although for the price of it, you know, you should know better. For 30 sheets for 22 bucks or whatever it is, somewhere around there. Did I dip in the right color? Oh, I think I dipped in the wrong color. You know. But I can't complain because they sent that paper to me, not Paul Rubens Art, but sent that to me to review. So, you will get an honest review after I've used it. Yeah, but whoa. Look how dark that got just with a second of water sitting on the pan. That's a sepia I can probably get behind. I'm not a huge fan of sepia, but man, that's almost like a Van Dyke brown. That's nice and rich and lovely. Now that's a mixture of PB15:1, which is a phthalo blue, PBR7, which is the brown they usually make burnt umber out of, and burnt sienna out of, and then PBK6, which obviously is black. But that's really clean looking for a mix of that many pigments. Okay, English Red, PR101. Let's see what this one looks like. It looks like it might even be a little bit fresher than a typical, like it's a little bit opaque. I can see the sediment on the black line, but it's not too bad. And remember, opaque colors they just tend to go muddier. The transparent colors tend to mix more cleanly. And warm colors also tend to be a little muddier to mix than cool colors. With undertoned wise, I mean. Now we've got Payne's Gray, which is another mix of PR101, which is that color, PBK7, and PB29, which is that color. Oh, that's really pretty. It looks kind of more like an indigo than a Payne's Gray, though. Did I dip in the right one? Never mind, I just dipped in indigo. For goodness sake. I'm sorry, guys. Anybody still there? Let me know in the comments below. If you are, my goodness, you've got some stamina. This is a fall asleep video, I can tell you. This is one of those. You put it on before bed, so I'm not going to miss anything. Lindsay can lull me to sleep with her calming demeanor. Alright, here we go. Redo. What's that, a mulligan? We're going to take a mulligan on Payne's Gray. Ooh, that's dark. I gotta lighten that up a little bit. That's kind of pretty. That's kind of pretty. I think they could have done the PR101 and the PB29 and had a really nice, that's, you know, that's something a lot of people use for for a mix. Oh, I forgot to put it over here. I think this is too much. I think this is too black. Personally, I think it should have just been the PR 101 and the PB 29 because that would have had a really pretty granulation. And I don't know, maybe they did it to just neutralize it, but they didn't ask me clearly and said, Lindsay, what shall we do for? Why have I made the people British from Paul Rubens? I don't know. What shall we do for our Payne's Grey? Miss Queen of everything. And there is our black PBK6. Alright, so first impressions. It's a nice color palette. I'm not knocked off my feet here. But what I think I need to do is let these swatches dry and then maybe we'll do some little little roses or something easy on paper I'm familiar with, and we'll see how it flows and see how the colors act, and I think that'll be a good course of action next. So I'll see you in a couple seconds and with this dry, and we'll do that. All right, while you were, I don't know what you were doing, but anyways, while the video camera was off, I decided to do a glaze on each of these, just kind of a stripe. They glazed fine. Then I went and lifted on the corners. They all lifted fine. I was actually surprised at how well all of the colors lifted. I expected more staining from the, with the phthalo blue, there's slight staining. The greens, I mean, there's a little bit of staining, but I'm really surprised there wasn't more. And like the PV19, I expected some more staining there. But I got a pretty good lift on everything, so I don't know if that's due to the paper or the paints, but I was able to glaze and I was able to lift. So there's that. Now I'm going to switch over to a paper that I'm more familiar with because I want to just do some quick flowers and see how the paints move and groove and all of that. So I'm going to just set that block out of the way. I'm going to have my swatch here handy just so I can know what I'm using basically. And I'm just going to set that over to the side and get a nice juicy round brush. And let's see what we can do. Let's do some roses. Let's be original. I know you guys are probably sick of that. All right. I think I'm going to grab this PV19. That's a color I'm familiar with. And let's see, we want to maybe add a little bit of yellow ochre to that, another color I'm pretty familiar with. That's really strong. We're going to water that way down. We're going to add a little bit more of the red to it and really just water it down. Alright, so what I want to do is I'm going to basically put in some rose shapes, just some petals, and I just want to really water it down so then I can drip other colors in and see how they mix and mingle and if they flow and all of that good stuff. Can even just go out to kind of almost clear water, not quite, but close, or big flower in here, off center. Off center looks good. Now, I think I'll grab the other red. I'm going to go with a little bit smaller of a brush so I don't end up overdoing it. This is a number 8 round. These are the Mimic faux squirrels, and I'm just going to start by just kind of doing some of these smaller little shadows towards the center. We can watch the paint flow out and see what it wants to do. Mix a little bit of that other red in there, the first red that we were using. Let's see, that's flowing pretty well in there. I guess it was getting a little bit too dry out here, so I'm just going to take that bigger brush, add some of this more muted red in there to help bring it out a bit. I always find the edges the most challenging on a rose. We go in so good and then it's like, ooh, how do I stop it? How do I stop this rose? It's getting too big. It's getting out of hand. I'm just going to fade off the top edge of that a little bit. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll be like, I don't like that edge. I'm just going to fade it off and let it go into the ether. Let it be a nice ethereal rose, if you will. I'm liking that. I don't have any qualms with that. Let's do some flat brush leaves. What do I want to use for a flat brush? We'll use this guy here. This is one of the Artified. Those were some pretty affordable brushes. I'm going to double load a brush. I'm going to do half with this olive color and half with this permanent green. And let's see how. And a little bit of blending in there, kind of like that. Oop, not enough water. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about this particular flat over, like a regular aquarelle brush. Not a regular aquarelle brush. I just went through and I put away so many brushes, and I might have actually put away a brush that I intended to keep in here. Good grief, I'm going to just go with a smaller one. Let's see. I'll do the side in there. This one, no, this is too small. Oh my gosh. Alright. Let's go with classic. Let's go with a Mimic. I spoke too soon about that Artified brush. Just don't think I have my brush wet enough. But you know, I am kind of concerned with what I did with my tried and true brush. Grab the Zen All Media. Oh my word, how many flat brushes can Lindsay use on this video? Oh, that's too much. That held some water. We'll just blot that a little bit, shall we? Yeah. Well, I don't think flow's an issue. This paper that I'm using is the Arteza Round Block, 100% cotton. I really like this block. I'm going to review it. I've done quite a few little paintings on it. I could just film a review after this, actually. I really like it. Pretty, well, I don't know about pretty affordable. It's priced well. It's priced fairly. It's just definitely not a, you know, it's not a budget. It's not a budget product. I'm going to put one more of those longer leaves in there too. Do another little rose over here. Go back with the big brush first. I like that first color I was using. Oh, you know what? This has a really interesting petal pattern in the middle, so I want to actually put that in first. It's kind of like a pinwheel. All right, now I'm going to go in with the brush with the lighter color on it. Just want to leave some color, leave some space for highlights. This rose is lighter in general. The photo, I've got a photo on Unsplash that I'm looking at. I'll try to remember to link it. Kind of pretty. I like these quinacridone pink and magenta. Do some more little leaves. Maybe add a little bit of that May green into the mix. We'll try some other greens. I don't mind a little bleed as long as it's not muddy. But I like the movement of the colors. Might be a little extreme. Should probably blot a little bit of that because it's going to get muddy. need one more though. This brush holds lots of paint. All right, let's do a few little buds. Yeah, put a couple in there, maybe a couple up there. They'll have to be small though. I'm just putting the dark red portions of a couple of rosebuds. And I'll add the green. I'll add the green later. Let's put another one over there. We'll have 5 rosebuds in all. Actually, I probably have enough color there just to use water and pull. Although that does look kind of... You know what? Let's do some yellow ochre just on its own and get a fresher. The paint's beating up on the palette a little bit. I think it needs to be washed. That's too much. That's just about right. With the florals, I do paint them pretty intuitively. I will go for like a... I will maybe start by looking at a reference and then kind of go from there. But I generally kind of get like a focal point flower and then try to work out from there. I do a little one that's not budded yet. Just playing with different colors, not going to worry about sticking to a limited palette, just want to see what we can do. I'm going to mix these colors together, make some brown and put some stems. Maybe for some other plants. And let's put another color in there. Let's do some of that interesting purple. Oh, what kind of flowers? Let's do some imaginary ones, I guess. I want it to be nice and juicy and see if we can get some granulation happening in the blooms. I don't know if there'll be enough space for it, but maybe. I'm just going to kind of dab it in. Some heather or lavender or something in there. That's what I'm going to say it is. I'm going to say it's lavender. Little spikes of lavender in our bouquet. Won't that smell good? It's the longest unboxing first impression video ever. But better than melatonin. I think I'll add a little bit of ultramarine in there to see if I can get... Let's see, where is my ultramarine? Right here. I might have to end up doing a swatch for this because the way that the thing is, my pans aren't laid out like that. Yeah, I think, well, no, they are. They actually are. I just have to, might have to cut it apart and tape it together differently or something. I don't know. Just dabbing in a little bit of ultramarine. That will give us a little more texture. And then maybe just for some freshness, just take some of that yellow ochre again by itself. Oh, I need some more space. I'm going to use the other part of the palette. I really need to wash that because it's definitely beating up. But maybe just put some of that in the background. Maybe some lemon yellow, actually. That's pretty harsh. It's pretty dense. Just kind of spread out the color a little bit. I'll show you my water cups in a second too. You can see how mucky they are. Oh, I need to put some more purple over there, but I already put yellow. Yellow will make the purple kind of seem a little more vibrant. Take a little bit more of that purple. Oh, you know what? I think I'll soften this edge here. I wonder if I'll get a lot of mud if I do the purple right into that yellow wash. It's not too bad, actually. I want some more yellow around that purple. I don't want to make mud, but I think I can sneak some in there. Alright, I think that looks pretty good, actually. I think that's fine. That gives me a good feeling for the paint. I got some nice dispersion. They did say there was good dispersion here. None of the colors gave me any issues. None of the colors made me think that, oh, this might not be a good color or something might be wrong here. The swatch itself didn't seem like anything to write home about, but that could be right down to the paper. If we look at the big swatches again, I mean, the colors look decent. I think it's a decent palette for somebody to start with. You know, around 50 bucks, 24 colors. That's $2 a color. A little over. Well, then you get a pretty nice tin as well. I think it's a good buy. I don't know about these compared to the original set of 24. I think I'm going to grab my swatches and we can take a look and compare ourselves. So we'll be right back with that. All right, we are back and this is almost dry, and man, I really love how the colors blended and diffused out. And I mean, even though this is just a quick demo, I think it turned out pretty well. I think it was a good use for these paints. They glaze, they lift, and they also blend together really well. So yay for that. I like that. All right, so I thought it'd be fun to compare the color swatches that we have here in this set and the palette here to some of the other Paul Rubens palettes. I do have quite a few. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Some I've purchased, some I've been sent, and actually, this is one that I purchased after receiving the 24. The 24 set was the first one I got. I really liked it, and I kind of waited for the 48 set to go on sale. So this was the traditional palette, which would be a tin palette with the holder in here, and latched really well. I felt like the quality was really good here. They also came with swatch cards. Nice latch, okay, even with the extra papers in there. This new style I also saw when the glitter colors came out, and this glitter set was sent to me last year by Paul Rubens, and I really like this palette. It's got a it's not actually not glitter. It's got a little bit of a sparkle to it, but it's not glitter. You can see how good it latches, like really satisfyingly. Hold it upside down, it's not going to come undone. But it's got that similar kind of foam style to it. The embossed Paul Rubens logo on it. But this definitely feels like, this definitely latches better and feels a little bit better quality. And then when you look inside the palette, you have, and I'll try to remember to link all of these up down below. This one actually has the traditional style foam palette with the dividers and the rails. So, I mean, it just feels like a really nice palette, a really good experience. I did a lot of my World Watercolor Month paintings last year with this. Oops, I lost a pan. Plop that back in there. And I feel like this, I mean, this does feel like a better quality palette than this one here. But I think it's just the insert, maybe, and the fact that, actually, you know what? There's like a little cutout here on the lid that that isn't on this one. So maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe I got one that had like a little defect in the metal. That could be why, because they both feel like, they feel equally heavy. So that could be it. I might have just got an oddball. This one definitely does latch better. And then you can see the colors here when you compare the colors on that one. Can you see a little bit of sparkle? It's not too obvious. It's just really a really light, actually. And I do have this set of 24 watercolors here. I have the 48 set of this too, but honestly the 24 actual glitter colors, I use these more than any other glitter set. I just feel like it's a really good comprehensive set. And this is what the old palettes, the old 24 palette looks like versus this new 24 palette. So the regular traditional Paul Rubens 24 set came in a tin like that. I've swapped some tins around, so I don't have those in their original iterations to show you. But just for comparison's sake, this is definitely a lighter weight palette. But I didn't have any quality problems with any of the Paul Rubens palettes. Some of the, like the Aowin one, which is kind of like a student grade, kind of like the Pretty Excellent, that one I had some issues with, but I don't know if I got a factory second or what with that, because it was like a really low price bargain that I found on Amazon, so I don't really know where it came from or who the seller was with that. But anyway, I thought I would compare and show you that. But let's compare big swatches between the different lines, because you may prefer a different line. Because there's a lot to pick from. I'm gonna totally confuse all these swatches. I'm gonna have to put them all together at the end. But let's look what we have here. So Paul Rubens actually also has colors in tubes. So they have their regular colors. They have their in pans. They have the regular colors in tubes. They've got metallic colors that I showed you, that 24 set that I keep in my drawer that I use all the time. This one right here. This is also available in a set of 48. These are a lot sparklier than the ones that come in the blue tins that are by Artsy and Superior. These are definitely a step up sparkle-wise in them, even though they're very similar looking. I think Superior tries to knock off the Paul Rubens ones, but I mean, they're both fine. If you already have you have to kind of put them side by side, I think, to really see the difference. If you've never tried these and you have the other ones, you probably won't even know the difference. And if you didn't swatch them out side by side, I don't know if you could tell the difference, but these are definitely sparklier. And then they have their phosphorescent colors, and the phosphorescent colors are the ones with a little bit of shimmer to it that I showed you in the pink, this pink box here. Those are really nice, very transparent, just a little hint of shimmer, almost like the Primatech paints, like the ones that have the natural like mica mineral in them. That's what they remind me of. And now you've got the new fourth generation Paul Rubens that we've been working with all today. So let's just take a look at the difference here. So these are the Paul Rubens tubes. This was the song set. I really like them. I actually put them in my original pink Paul Rubens palette because I thought, because it's so floral, I thought that they'd go really well in there, and I moved my original Paul Rubens with some Primatech ones into another palette because those all went really well together. The original 24 Paul Rubens to me felt a lot like the Daniel Smith Primatechs, and if you bought like just the set of 24 in the old style, like this pink packaging, this is what you'd get. They contained real cadmiums, so let's look at the swatch we just did here. So like, oh man, let's hope I can read these. That's PY3, so that's the same color. This one is PY35, that's a cadmium. And this is the cadmium hue. So they did a pretty good job at matching the color. I'm going to look at my printed swatch because I can't read the names on the Indian yellow. Do I have an Indian yellow there? Yep, Indian yellow there. So I think it's pretty similar. This is just a different paper that I swatched on. Then you have a real cadmium red. And then here you've got a cadmium red hue, which I don't think is very similar to that cadmium red. I think the orange PO71 is kind of more close to the cadmium red light that I have there. I think I'd have to say I prefer the colors in the original 24 set, which is cheaper. I think that's around $40. At least it was last time I remember on Amazon. It was around $40, and the new one I think is around $50, probably because it's new and the price might drop. But you've got a real cerulean blue. You've got a gorgeous ultramarine. The ultramarine is very similar, honestly. You've got a real cobalt blue, whereas you've got some kind of more phthalo-y blues. Yeah, I think all around the colors are nicer in the original set of 24 than the new set. And, but if you're trying to avoid cadmiums and cobalts, because there's also a cerulean blue here, which is, a cerulean blue is also cobalt-based. So if you're trying to avoid the cadmiums and cobalts and get more of a non-toxic product, go with the new one. But personally, I like the older style because I love how real cadmiums, real cobalts, all those other colors that have an interesting feel to them. However, if you had this set and you want to buy this set, there would be some duplications, but not all. And some of the duplications would be made with different pigments. Like these purples here, this purple was mislabeled. It should have been a dioxazine violet, which is a brighter violet than this. So if you had this set and you added that to it, that'd be a whole other purple. These would be totally different reds. So, and yeah, the Naples yellow wasn't in the original set. You get a fair amount of new colors that you could incorporate, which would be kind of fun and a different palette. I don't know if that's worth it to you, but I thought I would just share my two big swatches together just so you can see this is the new one, this is the old one. I know it's probably tough to really decide between just seeing those two colors, but I would say for me the original set of 24 is a little bit nicer. The colors are more higher quality. In my opinion, I like cadmiums. I know a lot of people don't, but I feel the colors in the original set were higher quality. Well, I would say they're more expensive pigments rather than higher quality. I mean, you do have a PV16, which is a more expensive purple, but that's completely up to you and what you like. I'll leave it at that. I mean, we're all different. We all like different things. Now we can look at the set of 48, because maybe you're like, I don't know if I want a set of 24, because, you know, when you get in a set of 24s, you get a lot of very similar colors. This is a set of 48, which I haven't gotten around to review yet. I purchased this last year during Amazon Prime Day, because I'd had my eye on it for a long time. And the cheapest I was seeing it was around $70, and it dropped down to $62, and I grabbed it, which is probably kind of foolish because I haven't really used it much, but I really like the colors. These are from the original line. It's got a lot of the colors from the Floral set that were in the tubes, like the cobalt, or they call it turquoise light, but it's a cobalt teal color, and then a cobalt turquoise color. It's got a huge arrangement of blues. They have a lot of blues in their range, and this has a lot of them here, and a gorgeous selection of reds. I like to paint flowers, so I do love having a big variety of reds, including cadmium reds and cadmium yellows. A decent set of greens, but I feel like you got enough greens. You can mix whatever else you want for greens, or even tint the PG7 or PG36 to get, remember, one's more yellow leaning, one's more blue leaning. So this is PG36, and that's PG7, so you can see how that one's just acts a little bit more. Actually, is that a mix? That's a mix. Do I have a PG36? You know what, I may not have a PG36 in here on its own. But anyway, I wanted the set of 48, so I picked it up when it was on sale. And that's what that looks like versus the original set of 24. You know, it's just some different colors. I don't know, I think it's worth it. That's totally up to you. And this is the swatch for the sparkly ones, and we can compare that to the ones we just did here. Ironically, these sparkly ones, not the metallic, but just the ones with the phosphorescence, they say, have more transparency, I think, than the other colors. And so if you're looking for more traditional transparent watercolor, ironically, the phosphorescent set might fit the bill for you. That one I've seen go on sale for around $40, but it's generally $50. So it's generally the same price as this one. So it just depends on really what you like. Some gorgeous deep crimsons here, and lots of really intense colors. But then again, you're not getting the cadmiums here because you've got more of the transparent colors. So it's really just down to what is important to you and what you like. So one more thing I want to do before we go is do a little primary color mixing using our warm primaries and cool primaries for the set, because we do have a good split primary set in this set of paints. So I'm just going to grab a piece of watercolor paper and we are going to do that. I need a piece bigger than that. Let's grab this. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready for this riveting final conclusion of this project? Why do I keep turning that around? I'm just going to confuse myself. Now, by now, my water cups are also pretty dingy. This is my dirty water. This is my clean water. I think I better get myself another bucket of water. How about I just come back in a second? Okay, I decided not to be lazy for once and stamp out some little color mixing wheels. These are from Waffle Flower, and I'll try to remember to link them down below, but you can find them on Amazon or on their website. They are just wonderful. I use their other swatch stamps a lot. I'll show you the ones I use. Well, actually, you can tell because of how dirty they are. I use this one a lot for making, you can't even really see what it is, but it's a grid for making like little swatch cards that I keep in some of my palettes. In fact, I think I had one in here. Yeah, so that's how I make like those perfectly boxy little swatch things. So I'll try to remember to link those down below. Boy, I'm really setting myself up for failure here with all the things I'm promising to link. Alright, we're going to make a little, a couple little mixing charts using cool primaries and warm primaries. So my coolest primary yellow would be the lemon yellow. Then we've got, actually I've got two reds that are really, that are cool. I think I'll do that one just because I'm much more familiar with PV19 as a mixing color. And then for cool blues, I've got cyan and Prussian blue. I think cyan, that's a real primary color. I think I'll use that. So I always start with my yellow, and I'm going to add it to my yellow spot. I'm going to add it to my red yellow spot and my blue yellow spot, and then I'm going to add some to my mixing area on my palette. And you'll see why in a minute. Clean my brush in the dirty water. I did freshen up my clean water. I turned my clean water to dirty water, and I just got a new jug for clean water. Now I'm going to grab my cool blue, my cyan, which is right there. I'm going to double check. Alright, I'll put some right there just so I can see. I'm going to put some, oh, maybe a little water in there. That's really strong. My cool blue there. And then I'll put it in the red blue spot and in the yellow blue spot. Got plenty to mix with. Going to clean my brush. Then I'm going to grab my cool red, which I could use either of those, but I will go with Carmine just because I'm more familiar with PV19. Going to put it in the red, and in the yellow red spot, and in the blue red spot. So now what I'm going to do is since I have red on my brush already, I'm going to take a little bit of the blue on my palette, mix them together, and make try to make equal parts blue and red. Then I'll take a drop of that and add it to the blue, and a drop of that and add it to the red. And I'm going to blow up my brush a little bit so I don't bring too much. And mix my blue-red and then my reddish blue. And so that's how I get those colors. These colors are mixing very well. Now I am going to take the, I'm going to take some yellow. I'm actually just going to mix it right in here because I know I've got plenty. Make our orange and our yellow orange. Red is so strong, you really need a lot more proportion of yellow. Alright, and clean my brush. Then I'm going to make my green, which is the blue and yellow. Doesn't take much, and a little bit more yellow. So cool colors always mix a little bit cleaner. And then you could take all three colors, mix them together, and make a neutral color. And with cool colors you often will get a black or a gray, and with warm colors you often get a brown. Now I could add more yellow and red and get a brown, but there you go. That's our first color wheel. Of course that's not dry yet, but that gives us really good, that's really good, that's really hopeful because of how nice and fresh those colors look, that we've got some good mixing colors in our palette, and that is what we want. Now we're going to do our warm mixes. And for warm mixes, I'm going to do my warm yellow there. I'm going to do my warm red. I think I'll do this warm red, cadmium red hue versus the orange because that is a red and that's really more of an orange. And then I'll do ultramarine blue for my warm blue. So warm blue, warm red, warm yellow. Alright, now we're going to do our warm mixing. I paused the video because I had gotten a message. I didn't know if one of the kids needed me for something. Oh gosh, too much information. Do I know how to milk a video or what? And I've lost the brush I was using, so I'm just going to grab a smaller one since I'm not dealing with a lot of paint. We're going to do with warm yellow, which we will do Indian yellow. Indian yellow used to be made by They used to feed cows mango leaves and collect the urine, and that's what Indian yellow came from. But there were rumors that they withheld additional water from the cows to get the urine really concentrated to make the color. So, and I'm not sure if those rumors were true or not. They haven't been using real Indian yellow paint since I've been aware. But anyway, so that color was boycotted, so they started making synthetic Indian yellow. Can you imagine what that paint must have smelled like? Oh, that must have been bad. But I'm always happy when humane measures are taken. All right, now we've got Cad Red Hue. We'll put that full strength. Wow, that's really strong. Actually, that's a good Cad Red imitation for how strong that. I mean, look how strong that is. And again, I'll do it in the. The reason I like to put these in the their adjacent tertiary colors is because I just add a little bit of the secondary color to it, and I feel like it gives me a good mix. And I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to be cleaning out a ton of palette. I don't want to waste it. I don't want to be wasteful either. I don't want to be wasting a bunch of paint. And then blue, we're going to do ultramarine. That's a beautiful warm purple leaning blue. And these colors are what I would use for a split primary color palette. And the reason you want to use a split, well, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. Live your life. The reason why I like a split primary color palette is because you will get the most vibrant mixes, because you would mix with the color that is adjacent to the color you're going for. So if you wanted to get a nice bright green, you would use the yellow that's more green and the blue that's more green, and you mix them together for a brighter yellow. If you wanted a more muted green, then you could take like ultramarine, which is a warm purple leaning blue, and a Indian yellow, which is an orange leaning yellow, and you can mix them together and get a really muted yellow. Or you could take a warmer yellow, mix it with a cooler green. I mean, you just have so many more options for like pure colors that way. All right, and we've got our puddles to mix with. So let's start off with making a muted green. We'll grab and get kind of like a drab olive. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of that and add it into our yellow, and then I'll add that into the blue, maybe a little bit more of that. So you can see you get really desaturated colors because those colors are far apart from each other. Now if I wanted a really vibrant violet, I would use that red and that blue because they're closer together on the color wheel. So the way these would go with, well, you know what, I'll tell you that in a second. Let me finish this train of thought, then I'll show you what I mean about how these colors will go around the color wheel. We'll get another piece of paper and everything. I'll be fancy. Okay, so now we've got our blue and our red. We'll mix those two together. Now this is going to be a really desaturated eggplant color because this color is more orange, this color is more purple, but that red is really going to make it act. It's really going to desaturate it. And orange is the opposite of blue, so when you add orange and blue, you get a neutral color. So that's really desaturating and neutralizing it. But it's a great way to get an indigo, right? You take this blue, add a little bit of that, and you'll get a nice indigo color. Now we got to do our green. So we're going to do our yellow, a little bit of red. This yellow is stronger. We need more red. Then the lemon yellow. Warmer colors tend to be a little stronger too. Need a little bit more yellow in there though. Add a little bit of that to our yellow and a little bit of that to our red there so we can get our 3 tones. And then we'll mix all 3 together and make our mud, basically. And see how we get more of a brown when we mix our warm colors. So if you want to do a color wheel, I'm going to need a fresh piece of paper. We'll use this scrap because I am cheap. So if we're going to use those colors and do a color wheel, this is what we're going to do. We are going to take, you know what, first let me draw a handy dandy little shape. It's because the split primaries, right? Okay. We're going to split our colors there. I'm going to do a cool yellow here. I'm going to do the warm yellow here. I need a bigger brush. I don't like puttering around with that little brush. We're going to need a bigger brush here. I'm going to do my side warm. I'm going to do my warm red here. I'm going to do my cool red here. We're using this one right here. We're using this carmine. Now look at the colors together. See what I mean cool and see what I mean warm? This really looks cooler if I look at those together. That looks warmer and more orangey, doesn't it? Hopefully that shows up on camera. If not, do it with your own paints at home and see what happens. And then we're going to do our warm blue, which is our ultramarine here. And we're going to do our cool blue, which is our phthalo blue here. That one, or cyan, which is actually phthalo. And look how that one looks way more green and that one looks way more purple. Hopefully you can see that. You know what, I'm going to zoom right in a little bit more on that. Move this out of the way so you can really see those colors. Sorry about the wiggle. Okay, so we've got this blue. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that cool yellow. Actually, let's put a little bit of the cool yellow here. I'll mix the two primaries together. But I can mix those in and look at the beautiful color that we get. Now let me grab a little bit more of the cyan. That is this one right here. I'll put some of that up there so we can mix that with our other blue. We'll take our ultramarine, whoops, our ultramarine, that's not ultramarine. So we've got ultramarine there. I'm going to mix some ultramarine blue right in there. And look how that's a more neutral blue. When we take that blue and that blue, we get more of a neutral blue. And you might be like, why didn't I just use that color? Well, you've got two pigments in there. Stick with a split primary is going to work much better, but if you can't do a split primary, if you can only afford 3 colors, go for your cool colors, because look how your cool colors give you much brighter mixes than your warm colors. And then like I could add a little bit of that orange into that green and get it a little more earthy, so basically a touch of red. So you can, it's easier to muddy down a color than it is to make a color brighter. So let's just bring some of this ultramarine over there. Let's bring some of that carmine. Let's put a little bit there, so we'll put it over there so we can mix them over there. Mix those together. Look at that beautiful purple that we get. It's so vibrant and gorgeous. And then we'll grab a little bit of, look at those two reds together. Look how they make like a fire engine red when you have the magenta and the cadmium red together. And then we'll grab a warm yellow. And you want to add a little warm yellow to that and make our neutral yellow. Let's mix those colors together. I might need a little bit more, but they're going to give us a beautiful orange because they already lean towards those colors. So hopefully that's helpful in how you can mix more vibrant colors. Now, of course, you have a lot of convenience colors in a set of 24. You don't need to do all that mixing, but it's a really good idea to learn how to mix with a split primary, because you're just going to know your color theory so much better. You're going to be able to make browns. You're going to be able to make desaturated colors. And a lot of professional watercolor sets, if you buy a set of 12, will have a warm and a cool version of each primary because they are so useful and so powerful, and that way you can get a smaller set of colors and you can mix everything you want and become a much better painter. Now, the only downside to this is that these colors aren't going to have all the personality. Like ultramarine blue granulates, that's that color there. Cadmium, like a true cadmium red, can granulate, but you're not going to have that personality of like the granulated cobalt teals and powder pinks and all those specialty colors that are really popular right now. But you're going to learn color theory and you're going to be a better artist. You're going to be able to mix better colors if you start off with a limited palette, like a split primary color palette would have. But there you have it. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this long video, and it was fun to make it. It was kind of a weird rainy day here where my day was broken up a lot, so it was perfect time to do a little review, and I got to paint something that I enjoyed, like these flowers. Even though it was quick, it was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and till next time, happy crafting, happy painting, happy everything. You do you, live your life, have a great day. Until next time, again, happy crafting. Bye!